So I've just watched the interview I played that I got while I was online from one of our wonderful information specialists, right? That's the interview with Ashley Banfield, I think that's her name, and Bo, right? One of R. Kelly's attorneys. And we do remember Bo through the paperwork, right? From Illinois. And we remember that Bo was pretty, bold in the things that he did, right? For his clients. I'm not saying he broke the law or anything like that, but he's a fighter, which is something that you want, right? Damn, sorry, what is that downstairs? Hold on for a minute. Alright, sorry about that. Okay, so, now, keep in mind, right, that Bo filed a what? A motion. Motions seek some type of relief, okay, by way of a remedy. So, I strongly believe that while this particular motion can address several different issues, right? The issue of an emergency release that they're requesting due to whatever issues they raise, as well as advocacy for that pardon from Trump. I believe it's more of the latter. But nonetheless, right, one remedy that they can simply decide on, that means the judge or in connection or in conjunction with the Bureau of Prisons, is to simply just move R. Kelly away from that situation, transfer him to another prison. That can also be a remedy. A judge doesn't necessarily have to do what is requested of him, right? They can try to alleviate the problem by coming up with a remedy. Now, again, you always got to think about, and I hate getting into the weeds of these things because sometimes I don't think you guys understand how a strategy is developed, okay? Because again, it always got to be a proper legal argument that stays aligned with what? Procedural and substantive law, okay? So, if the judge just, say, hey, we're going to try to, in this case, this is actual threat. We're going to try to alleviate that threat. They can put Mr. Kelly in the shoe or whatever, where he is out of Gen Pop. Well, I don't even know if he's in Gen Pop. I really don't know what his status is in prison, but they can do that. But they may, let me not say they're going to, they may believe that, hey, it's best for them to make sure that his constitutional rights are protected as a prisoner. That means alleviating the threat. And this motion, again, I believe has a dual purpose. It could be a triple purpose, I guess, and the dual purpose would be to show some kind of advocacy for his release that winds up in front of Trump's face. All right, this could be looked at or seen as a possible threat to someone based on the Constitution. They're supposed to make sure that he's safe to the best of their ability. So you don't want to run into a risk of a constitutional violation that way, that you was, damn, hold on a minute, shit needs to swallow something. Okay, all right, so you don't want it to be seen, wanted to go on record that, yeah, you were apprised of a possible threat to a prisoner and you did nothing, and something actually happened. Because I could see that, the next thing that happens is that something happens, right? You don't want that. So, I don't know if Bonjean and Bo are on the same page or whatever, but I always said that when she submits her briefs and makes her argument, she always put pressure on the trier of fact for them to do something. Meaning, she comes up with issues that would sometimes tie the trial of fact hand. And they have no other recourse but to do something, right? Or they take a chance by not doing anything. Now I see Bo is somewhat the same. If we can remember from a lot of his briefs. So this is going to be interesting also with these declarations and because there were two, right, that I read. Excuse me. One is, the direct witness. Now, with those declarations, when you depose someone, right, well, I'm sorry, let me take that back. When someone's giving a declaration, they can also be deposed at the same time, right? You can ask questions and to get an answer that you hope goes along with whatever you are, along with that person's declaration, right? So just say if you said, like he's giving his story, you'd be like, well, were there any other Aryan Brotherhood that that knew about this and that, and that pretty much said that, like, if it wasn't carried out, they will carry out this hit on Mr. Kelly, and that person can say yes or no. But what happens, you know, if he says yes, you best believe that's going in on this declaration, because that's something that came out of his mouth. Even though he was asked, that still can be a part of it. So, this is a lot going on. But I want to know, what will the court do? Like, this is wow. They pretty much have their hands tied. You know, you could do nothing. You could, if something happened, you could face a lawsuit. You could do nothing. Next thing you know, next piece of paperwork comes that you are violating the rights of your client because you're actually doing nothing. And just say R. Kelly never gets touched, but you can also say that, hey, it's affecting his mental, which affects his life. Remember, life, liberty, and property. Those three things can't be violated. Per who? Per who? Constitution. That's crazy, right? But anyway, I mean, this thing could really happen. Now, I suspect they will launch an investigation. They get down to the nitty-gritty of it. But if it is something, if they do find that this is, some BS, who's to say that the next step, listen, the R. Kelly get attacked again? Everyone didn't buy that. That was the pharma attack was a legitimate attack, meaning that he just, I'm gonna pick R. Kelly and I hate black people, or whatever the situation was, I'm gonna attack R. Kelly. I had a lot of black people in that attack, or whatever the situation was behind that attack. So if according to some people, if allegedly that was set up, why not set up of, if this don't work, set up for somebody to come knock him in his head? This is crazy. Like, what would they do? Slick ass lawyers. If it's not legit, I don't know.